All right, so let's jump into it. So, first of all, can you tell us the secret origin of the Teen Titans series of graphic novels?
So now it feels like 5 years, 4 years, many years ago, DC
Yeah.
was launching this young readers line, and my friend Danielle Page was doing Mira, and she was one of the first people kind of tapped, and she said they'd like to talk to you too. And I'm a huge DC fan, so I had a call, and they said they were doing these kind of more. They wanted to do more realistic takes on some of the classic characters, and I said, who do you need? I named Wonder Woman, but she was taken. And then I said, I like the Teen Titans. They're like, yeah, we totally need the Teen Titans. So I assumed that meant like all of them as a group. I think DC thought I was going to pick one. And I pitched this series of Teen Titans kind of origin novels in which later they would join forces. But in the beginning, we would get to know each character. And one of the key points in my series was they would look like regular high school students. So we'd see them at school, and their friends wouldn't know they had superpowers. So no costumes. Beast Boy wouldn't have green skin, at least not while, all the time, maybe sometimes. And so when it was time to look for an artist, they sent me some people who are all great, but like I didn't get that feeling of like, this is it. And I was like trolling around online, and I barely even like knew Instagram very well. And I was on Pinterest, which is like my favorite. And I saw this, fan art, this art of Beast Boy and Raven wearing sneakers and jeans and t-shirts. And I was like, this is exactly what I'm trying to do. And it had such a relatable sensibility to it. So I like took the pictures and I said, this is what I want. And the editors said, well, we've actually seen this art. It's amazing, but we don't know if this person, we know they work professionally. We don't know if they actually do comics. They don't have a web comic. And they said, interestingly, they said, but we'll reach out to him, which I thought was crazy because I thought they were going to be like, we're not hiring this person who doesn't already work at DC, but they said we're going to reach out to him. But then there was a problem because they reached out to Gabriel. They were emailing Gabriel, trying to kind of entice him to talk to them about work, but Gabriel was not replying. Because Gabriel, do you want to tell us why you were not replying to DC Comics fancy emails?
I remember that lots of people from DC, some people from talent were sending me emails, and they all had this huge DC logo at the end. And I was already drawing Teen Titans fan art, and I thought, hey, this is way too good to be true. And I thought it was a scam or something. And I was not answering the emails for the longest time until I think Cammy contacted me at some point. And then I answered one of DC's emails, but it wasn't for the graphic novels yet. It was for some sort of commission. They wanted me to commission illustrations so that they could see how I deal with deadlines and if I was able to deliver stuff. And I got to do this commission, and after that, we started discussing the graphic novels.
But this was like months, so I'm sitting there thinking, like, God, please answer your email. And DC was, I wasn't friends with Gabriel. Like, he wasn't following me on like Twitter where like I could secretly DM him. And I knew DC was watching because they specifically asked me not to reach out to him. So I was like, if I start like chatting him up online, they're going to see and be like, Cammy is not following instructions. So I had to just wait and pray that he answered the email. And every few days I'd be like, so have you heard from Gabriel Picolo? And they were like, not yet. And then finally they heard from him, and I was so happy. And, it was very much like we put our chocolate and peanut butter together, and it like made a Reese's.
Now, how do you approach integrating street fashion into the series, and why make the characters look like they're living in the world today?
I like to do that because I think that makes the character more approachable, more down to earth. And to be honest, it's something that I am very interested in my daily life. It all started when I got my sneaker addiction. Like, I started to collect sneakers, and then I moved to streetwear, street fashion, and it's something I'm very interested in. So I decided to put all that on my artwork.
And Cammy, what's your favorite thing about Gabriel's art?
It's the relatability. And also like he's a master of expressions. Like he manages to capture in 2D like a look in someone's eye. Beast Boy, and not like, the sharp, like a raise of an eyebrow that's like super kind of overdone, but like the tiny little like hint of a smile, or like body language. He's so good at like, and Beast Boy loves Raven, Beast Boy's clearly like attracted to her, and you see the awkwardness of him like standing next to her, but like kind of making sure I'm not standing too close to her or looking at her, but then being like, oh, she can tell I'm looking at her. He captures really well what it feels like the way I hope I do in dialogue and in, storytelling, the way it feels to actually be a teen, or to be figuring out who you are and how you want to like move through the world. And I think that is very unique, and something that is not about like drawing skill. It's about I feel like, in a way, the way I try to infuse my love for the characters into the words, Gabriel is able to infuse his love of the story and the characters into the actual art. And I feel like it shows through.
What's the thing that gets you most excited about when you receive a new script from Cami?
I think it's the dialogue. It's definitely the dialogue, because I've been working with Cami for 3 years now, and I am fortunate enough that I can change whatever I want on the page, as long as the dialogue fits, in the panels. So when I read the script, I'm like, how can I take the most out of this scene? Cami writes how many panels the page is gonna have, but I'm totally free to add one or remove one as long as I see fit.
All right, now this is a big one. This is a big question. Who, in your opinion, do you think is the best dressed hero in the DC universe?
Oh, wow. I mean, I would say, our characters are the best dressed in the DC universe.
I think it's a tie. It's a tie between Raven. There's not one costume of Raven that I don't like throughout the whole legacy of this character. And Zatanna. I think Zatanna is very well dressed overall. And by the way, I don't like how Beast Boy is dressed all the time. Even though he's my favorite character on DC, I don't love all of his costumes. So, for example, I don't like when people use white and red on him. I don't think it fits him very well. Even though I know it's his original color scheme, I think the red is too much on him. I love when he's dressed with purple or white.
What is one of Cami's pet peeves?
It's when I make faces too goofy, or when I use a lot of black ink on the page, so the page gets a bit too dark. So we're always taking care of reaching this tone with the series, like not to get too goofy. Okay, we have funny moments, but not too goofy, and we have sad and dark moments, but we can't get too dark. So it's always that. I think that Cami used to remind me of that more on Teen Titans Raven, our first collaboration. I don't think it happens as much on our third book, because I know exactly what kind of page, what kind of style she's looking for, and so she is when she writes the script.
How does Gabriel make you laugh?
Oh my gosh, well, his personality is like his art. He's a light, he's a deep guy, but when he's interpersonally, he's the kind of guy who can cheer you up when you're in a bad mood. But when he sends the art, like, he'll always take it to the next level. It's in the preview in the back of Beast Boy. There's a Beast Boy Loves Raven preview that they also gave away on Free Comic Book Day. And there's this scene with like Beast Boy in a cowboy hat. And it's like, I just was like, Beast Boy's in a cowboy hat, but like every time I look at it, it's hilarious. And one of my other favorite things he draws is animals. There's a little monkey friend that Beast Boy has named Kong, and I literally invented him when I started Beast Boy. I had no intention originally of putting him in the series after I had worked with Gabriel and Raven, because he has the same way that he kind of is able to make people relatable, he's able to convey animals in a way that is just like heartwarming. And I said, like, Beast Boy needs an animal he can hang out with, but when he's not yet changing into animals. So every Kong is constantly doing hilarious things on the page and making these expressions that, like, now that when I'm writing, I'm thinking of like, what can I add that Gabriel will get to draw that will make me laugh.
Cool. And how has your collaboration with Cami evolved since the first book?
Like I said before, I have way more artistic freedom to play around with the page now, because I know well what Kenny likes and what she doesn't like, and I think that works the same for her, because when she's writing the script, she knows what kind of scene I like to draw. She knows that I love to draw slice of life scenes. Um, she knows that I am not as good as drawing crazy fights and explosion and that sort of stuff. So she limits that to a certain point on the book.
I mean, completely. We are partners. We were in the beginning, but it was like I kind of had to kind of like tug some ideas out of Gabriel, because he was very careful. Like, he was worried about stepping on my toes. Like, the story was mine. He didn't want to overstep, but like, we ended up going on tour for Raven together and traveling together. He stayed at my house with my kids and my family. And I think after we got to know each other more personally, and he really realized that I see this as it is not my book that Gabriel is drawing. This is our creation, our book. I think he knew that, like, I wanted him to throw in his ideas. So now, we got to the point where, even though I had kind of a script plot line, I'd be like, what do you think? What can we add? And with Beast Boy, he really started saying, like, could we have a page where we see this? Could we do this? And so I think it just became more collaborative. And the more we work together, that's why I feel like Beast Boy Loves Raven is the most special of the books, because like that was where we like discussed the most, and we're the most comfortable to, put our ideas together.
So how did Raven and Beast Boy evolve in this book, specifically Beast Boy Loves Raven?
They had to deal with their superpowers alone on their solo books, and by the end of the book they don't understand a lot of it. And one thing that I like about this book is that they get to understand their powers way more, and because they met each other, because they see that they're not so different, they're not alone, and obviously finding each other's partnership along the way.
So in Raven, in both Beast Boy and Raven, they, for different reasons, they don't know about their powers. Raven has had a tragic accident with her foster mom and loses her a type of working memory. And then Beast Boy's powers are evolving. So in both of those origin stories, you're kind of seeing like how a character reacts to like weird stuff is happening that 100% does not seem normal. And what is going on and how do I figure that out? By the end of those books, obviously, it's not a giveaway to say they realize they have powers. But now, like Gabriel said, what's cool about these characters is they don't have it all figured out like the Justice League. They're still learning. So they kind of have to take it to the next step of, I know I have powers, but I don't 100% know how to use them or control them. And I need to know more. And there's a crossover character in both that they are going to kind of go see and talk to. And I would think that like through their friendship, which will eventually, become Beast Boy Loves Raven, they I think they kind of see each other through the other person's eyes, and they not only gain strength because they want to help the other person and they need to be strong for their friend, but they also gain strength and confidence because that person makes them feel like gives them the self-confidence to be who they are and who they can be. It's kind of that, they say that falling in love with the right person or having the right best friend gives you the confidence to be the best version of yourself. I feel like that's what's happening in this book, is we're seeing two different people come together and become the best version of themselves. And honestly, I think that's kind of the magic between me and Gabriel's arcs, people will say like, why does it work so well together? And I said, not only just because we truly collaborate, but I said like, for whatever reason, our kind of magic is that like, I feel like his art makes me want to be a better writer and level up. And I feel like my story kind of like shines the light on like the specialness of like what he does in a way that lets him, because he's so good. It's kind of like, one thing I think is the idea of like, he was already drawing these characters. How are they going to be different in these books if you've already followed his fan art? But they are. Like each book, he like brings something more to them. And I feel like that's kind of the magic, we're friends. That's the magic of a good friendship, is like you let the other person become bigger and more and better and more confident. That's the teacher in me talking. I was a teacher for 17 years. So I'm always thinking about like how people working together impacts the actual artist. And I think we just, you try to bring out the best in the other person and let them shine.